murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art of Political Discourse. Let's get right to it. AGI is the topic, is the content for the day. And I tell you, it's something you want to know about. This guy, Dario Amodei'S, has a lot to say about AGI and the effect it will have on the population, the human population, to be more specific, once it comes into play. Before we get into that, I'd like to ask that you like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Your viewership and participation with this channel means a lot to us. And not only that, but because you are participating and you view what we drop as content, it will enable us to gather more information and educational information for you guys and for you guys' benefit. But without further ado, let's drop this piece. I think it's very insightful, very insightful. This is Dario Amodei'S.
I have, very high conviction that it's going, we're going to get there within a few years. I have a hunch that we're going to get there within a year or two. So a little uncertainty on the technical side, but pretty strong confidence that it won't be off by much.
Okay, I'm going to speed that up just a bit. And here we go.
AGI. I think the crux is something like, nobody at this point disagrees that we're going to achieve AGI in this century. And the crux is, you say we're hitting the end of the exponential, and somebody else looks at this and says, oh, yeah, we're making progress. We've been making progress since 2012. And then 2035 will have a human-like agent. And so I want to understand what it is that you're seeing, which makes you think, yeah, obviously we're seeing the kinds of things that evolution did, or that within the human lifetime learning is like in these models, and why think that it's 1 year away and not 10 years away?
I actually think of it as there's kind of two cases to be made here, or two claims you could make, one of which is stronger and the other of which is weaker. So I think starting with the weaker claim, when I first saw the scaling back in 2019, I wasn't sure, this was this was kind of a 50-50 thing, right? I thought I saw something that was, and my claim was, this is much more likely than anyone thinks it is. This is wild. No one else would even consider this. Maybe there's a 50% chance this happened.
And I think what he's discussing right here is, for context, is him first stumbling upon the potential, the probability of AI evolving into something that most minds can't imagine. I think that's part of what he's saying right here in this piece.
On the basic hypothesis of, as you put it, within 10 years, we'll get to, what I call kind of country of geniuses, right, in a data center. I'm at 90% on that. And it's hard to go much higher than 90% because the world is so unpredictable. Yeah. Maybe the irreducible uncertainty would be if we were at 95%, where you get to things like, I don't know, maybe multiple companies have, kind of internal turmoil and nothing happens, and then Taiwan gets invaded and all the fabs get blown up by missiles, and then
now you've changed the scenario.
Yeah. You could construct a scenario where there's a 5% chance that you can construct a 5% world where things get delayed for 10 years. That's maybe 5%. There's another 5%, which is that I'm very confident on tasks that can be verified. So I think with coding, I'm just, except for that irreducible uncertainty, I think we'll be there in 1 or 2 years. There's no way we will not be there in 10 years in terms of being able to do it end-to-end coding. The one little bit of fundamental uncertainty, even on long time scales, is this thing about tasks that aren't verifiable, like planning a mission to Mars, doing some fundamental scientific discovery like CRISPR, writing a novel. Hard to verify those tasks. I am almost certain that we have a reliable path to get there, but if there was a little bit uncertainty, it's there. So on the 10 years, I'm like, 90%, which is about as certain as you can be. Like, I think it's crazy to say that this won't happen by 2035. Like, in some sane world, it would be outside the mainstream.
But
Okay, one second.
But okay, next.
Let me fast forward this just a bit and drop a little commentary once I get to where I want us to be. Okay, so pretty good. What so far as what he's saying, I think so far is that Dario is saying, man, AGI, its timelines, and how AGI will be replacing white collar jobs is around the corner. Given it, let's say the 10-year window is just giving it space to grow. And that space is there, it's accommodating just because, or what the probability or possibilities are of the world, having conflict with itself, certain things that will slow it down, certain distractions in the world that will slow the progress of AGI down. But more than anything, he's saying now, just in terms of how AI is evolving, AI is evolving, AGI will be replacing white collar jobs sooner than we think, sooner than that 10-year window he's giving. And how, we are right now with the development of AGI, and if we will be able to achieve AGI by the year 2027. This is what will be discussed, I'm pretty sure. But just keep in mind that AGI is a stage where I think AI becomes equal or better than the brain of humans. It will be able, the system will be able to do things that we do with ease, with relative ease. Okay. And that's just what it is. Again, at this point where humans will, we're at this point where humans will start to become irrelevant, especially in the workplace. White collar jobs is on the back end of it. What's going to happen first is the front end of blue collar labor jobs, regarding or concerning labor, warehouse, things of, that nature. But again, it's at this point because whatever humans can do, at their jobs, AGI will be able to do 10 times better. We're at the doorstep of that phenom or phenomena happening. AI is just the tip of the iceberg. AGI is when the system starts to really take place, starts to really incorporate itself in our lives. Okay, now without further ado, I'm gonna run this piece right here because it's quite interesting in terms of what he has.
And in generally, Anthropic has predicted that by late 26, early 27, we will have AI systems that are, quote, have the ability to navigate interfaces available to humans doing digital work today, intellectual capabilities matching or exceeding that of Nobel Prize winners, and the ability to interface with the physical world. And then you gave an interview 2 months ago with DealBook, where you were emphasizing your company's more responsible compute scaling as compared to your competitors. And I'm trying to square these two views where if you really believe that we're going to have a country of geniuses, you want as big a data center as you can get. There's no reason to slow down. The TAM of a Nobel Prize winner that is actually can do everything a Nobel Prize winner can do is like trillions of dollars. And so I'm trying to square this conservatism, which seems rational if you have more moderate timelines, with your stated views about AI progress.
Yeah, so it actually all fits together. And we go back to this fast, but not infinitely fast diffusion. So like, let's say that we're making progress at this rate. The technology is making progress this fast. Again, I have, very high conviction that like it's going, we're going to get there within a few years. I have a hunch that we're going to get there within a year or two. So a little.
There's that aspect of it that I think we should pay attention to. This is one of the foremost individuals involved in this thing called AGI or AI/AGI. he's very popular. For whatever reason, what he's doing, what he's working on, the United States government has their eye on him and his work, specifically the military, the Department of War. He's under a lot of scrutiny because of what he's predicting and the work he's doing regarding AGI. I just had a conversation with some individuals last night regarding this very thing. This ended up in my timeline this morning, and I was kind of shocked to realize, like, oh my God. So what I was saying wasn't far-fetched. The argument last night on another channel that we have was that AI, and I was using AI. I was unaware of AGI, but AI, its application, the system will eventually take over jobs and white collar jobs that human beings have. And someone told me, oh, no, that's not going to happen. That doesn't make sense. I said, yeah, man, think about it. Lawyers, doctors, college professors, these jobs will at some point sooner rather than later be done by AGI.
Uncertainty on the technical side, but like, pretty strong confidence that it won't be off by much. What I'm less certain about is, again, the economic diffusion side. Like, I really do believe that we could have models that are a country of geniuses in a data center in 1 to 2 years. One question is, how many years after that do the trillions in, do the trillions in revenue start rolling in? I don't think it's guaranteed that it's going to be immediate.
So I think now he's talking about, and they're talking about the economic diffusion. How does the money come into play? Trillions of dollars. Who has that type of money? Okay, so those will be the people who will be involved in the growth or the production, the rolling in of this new system that comes after AI, AGI. The rich will finance this because the rich are the ones who want to see, who wants to have a hand in the growth or as much as the evolution of man, for whatever reason, the rich, want to be in that place of power or control. So I don't think that's far-fetched. And I do think that the money will be there for this research of the development of the research.
I think it could be 1 year, it could be 2 years. I could even stretch it to 5 years, although I'm skeptical of that. And so we have this uncertainty, which is, even if the technology goes as fast as I suspect that it will, we don't know exactly how fast it's going to drive revenue. We know it's coming, but with the way you buy these data centers, if you're off by a couple years, that can be ruinous. It is just like how I wrote, in Machines of Loving Grace, I said, look, I think we might get this powerful AI, this country of genius in the data center. That description you gave comes from the Machines of Loving Grace. I said, we'll get that 2026, maybe 2027. Again, that is my hunch. Wouldn't be surprised if I'm off by a year or two, but that is my hunch. Let's say that happens. That's the starting gun. How long does it take to cure all the diseases, right? That's one of the ways that drives a huge amount of economic value.
And that's only if that's the desired outcome of the system. If those who have the money to finance this thing, get this thing up and running, that's only if they want to do, those things that would help mankind rather than hurt mankind, deplete numbers, that remains to be seen. Again, it's really dependent upon those who put their money into these projects, into these systems, these developing systems. What do they really think about humanity will determine how these applications to these systems, AGI specifically, will help or hurt, humanity or mankind.
Value, right? Like you cure every disease. There's a question of how much of that goes to the pharmaceutical company, to the AI company, but there's an enormous consumer surplus because everyone, assuming we can get access for everyone, which I care about greatly, we cure all of these diseases. How long does it take? You have to do the biological discovery. You have to, you have to, manufacture the new drug. You have to, go through the regulatory process. I mean, we saw this with like vaccines and COVID, right? Like there's just this, we got the vaccine out to everyone, but it took a year and a half, right? And so my question is, how long does it take to get the cure for everything, which AI is the genius that can, in theory, invent, out to everyone? How long from when that AI first exists in the lab to when diseases have actually been cured for everyone?
Guys, one thing, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but every time you ask these tech CEOs about AGI, they start talking about curing cancer and other diseases with AGI. They try and make AGI appear like some sort of savior to humanity or something like that. What they don't tell you is the fact that millions will be replaced by AGI and several professions will totally vanish. And that AGI has the potential to become the biggest disaster in human history. Bigger than atomic bombs, even.
Let me ask you about.
And that's my take on it. And again, conversation I had last night, that was the crux or the basis, the core of the conversation. AI or AGI. Again, I didn't know about AGI until today, but AI is not the end all to beat all. It is not necessarily that thing that's going to propel the human race, or mankind, into the stratosphere where everything, man, is resolved. Hunger is resolved. Illnesses, disease is resolved. Death is resolved. We don't see that playing out like that. I don't think that will be the basis of why we see these systems coming into play. They will not serve mankind like we think they will.
Now, making AI go well. It seems like whatever vision we have about how AI goes well has to be compatible with two things. One is the ability to build and run AIs is diffusing extremely rapidly. And two is that the population of AIs, the amount we have and their intelligence, will also increase very rapidly. And that means that lots of people will be able to build huge populations of misaligned AIs or AIs which are just like companies which are trying to increase their footprint or have weird psyches like Sydney Bing, but now they're superhuman. What is a vision for a world in which we have an equilibrium that is compatible with lots of different AIs, some of which are misaligned, running around?
Yeah. So I think, in the adolescence of technology, I was kind of, skeptical of like the balance of power. But I think I was particularly skeptical of, the thing I was specifically skeptical of is you have like 3 or 4 of these companies, like kind of all building models that are kind of derived, like derived from the same thing, and that these would check each other, or even that kind of any number of them would check each other. Like we might live in a offense dominant world where like one person or one AI model is like smart enough to do something that like causes damage for everything else. I think in the short run, we have a limited number of players now, so we can start by within the limited number of players, we kind of, we need to put in place the safeguards. We need to make sure everyone does the right alignment work. We need to make sure everyone has bioclassifiers.
And this was Elon Musk's argument, because he is involved in the development of AI to an extent. He warned that because there are no real safeguards put in place in terms of the development of AI and how it will be implemented, or how the system will be regulated in terms of its effect on mankind or the human race. His worry was that because there are certain unethical approaches to the development of AI, that it would endanger, or it could possibly be disastrous, catastrophic even, to the human race. A lot supported what he said, and then there were those who were saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about. We'll be able to fix that. We'll take care of it. It is those individuals who don't think that it is necessary to have certain safeguards in place, so that, or to guarantee that AI will not become the monster a lot of us think that it will become. And kudos to Dario for, breaking this down and giving me a greater understanding, and hopefully you as well, of what the probability of AI going all bad or being all good really is. And that's based upon people, not AI itself, not AGI itself, but the people who develop it, the system.
Those are kind of the immediate things we need to do. I agree that, that doesn't solve the problem in the long run, particularly if the ability of AI models to make other AI models proliferates, then, the whole thing can kind of, can become harder to solve. I think in the long run, we need some architecture of governance, right? Some architecture of governance that preserves human freedom, but kind of also allows us to govern the very large number of kind of human systems, AI systems, hybrid human hybrid human AI, companies or economic units. So
this is very not shocking, but it should provoke us to think in terms of what the properties of AI could do for mankind or the human race, as well as what harm AI or AGI can bring to mankind or the human race. I think there's a lot weighing on, the final development or the development just in general of AGI, and those who are behind its development, the system's development. Who are these people, and what type of ethnic or principled regulations, rules, and mindsets are involved? You know what I mean? So this is something we really need to think.
We're going to need to think about, how do we protect the world against bioterrorism? How do we protect the world against mirror life?
Okay, next, Dario talks about how AGI is going to revolutionize humanoid robots. Podcast host asked Dario about the timelines of humanoid robots. This is such an interesting part of the interview because, guys, humanoid robots are going to flip our social lives upside down. Let's listen.
There's very few technologies that seem to be diffusing as fast as AI algorithmic progress. And so that does hint that this industry is sort of structurally diffusive.
So I think coding is going fast, but I think AI research is a superset of coding, and there are aspects of it that are not going fast. But I do think, again, once we get coding, once we get AI models going fast, then AI, that will speed up the ability of AI models to kind of do everything else. So I think while coding is going fast now, I think once the AI models are building the next AI models and building everything else,
the coding is the issue. And I don't think that there are too many regulations or rules set in place in terms of coding for AI/AGI. And this may be the problem. He just said something that, again, just kind of shocks me to hear this. Once these things are really up and running, they will have the ability to create other AI, artificial intelligences, or AGIs, and I think that's the threat to, human beings or to mankind. And this is also, I think, part of the problem. Part of the problem also, I think, is that those who really want in, who see dollar signs rather than, the safety or the well-being of the world, are not interested in what happens to the world as long as they make the money as an investment in AI. This is going to be a problem.
The whole economy will kind of go at the same pace. I am worried geographically, though. I'm a little worried that just proximity to AI, having heard about AI, that may be one differentiator. And so when I said the 10 or 20% growth rate, a worry I have is that the growth rate could be 50% in Silicon Valley, and parts of the world that are kind of socially connected to Silicon Valley, and not that much faster than its current pace elsewhere. And I think that'd be a pretty messed up world. So one of the things I think about a lot is how to prevent that.
Yeah. Do you think that once we have this country of geniuses as a data center, that robotics is sort of quickly solved afterwards? Because it seems like a big problem with robotics is that a human can learn how to teleoperate current hardware, but current AI models can't, at least not in a way that's super productive. And so if we have this ability to learn like a human, should it solve robotics immediately as well?
I don't think it's dependent on learning like a human. It could happen in different ways. Again, we could have trained the model on many different video games, which are like robotic controls, or many different simulated robotics environments, or just, train them to control computer screens and they learn to generalize. So it will happen. It's not necessarily dependent on human-like learning. Human-like learning is one way it could happen. If the model's like, oh, I pick up a robot, I don't know how to use it, I learn. That could happen because we discovered discovering continual learning. That could also happen because we trained the model on a bunch of environments and then generalized, or it could happen because the model learns that in the context length. It doesn't actually matter which way. If we go back to the discussion we had like an hour ago, that type of thing can happen in several different ways.
Yeah.
But I do think when for whatever reason the models have those skills, then robotics will be revolutionized, both the design of robots, because the models will be much better than humans at that, and also the ability to kind of control robots. So we'll get better at building the physical hardware, building the physical robots, and we'll also get better at controlling it. Now, does that mean the robotics industry will also be generating trillions of dollars of revenue? My answer there is yes, but there will be the same extremely fast but not infinitely fast diffusion. So will robotics be revolutionized? Yeah, maybe.
Okay, we'll end it there because I think that this is a slippery slope. Technology, I think, has the potential to get out of hand, especially when those involved in technology don't have necessarily moral compasses, or don't see the harm, or can't see ahead or visualize the harm that can become a result of this technology being just done without certain regulations, rules, or certain guidelines being in place or in front of these corporations, these CEOs, or these people who want to finance the development of AGI. AGI, I think, is going to be a thorn in our side. No matter what they want to say about it in terms of controlling it, I don't think that's feasible. I don't think that's something that they can even determine. Again, once the AGI systems go into play, and he just said it himself, Dario said, they will start or begin to create other AI systems on their own. So I think therein lies the problem. Will Skynet become this thing, that actually does away, or is, will be the fall of human beings or mankind on planet Earth? Tell us what you think in the comments. Again, this is, I think, very insightful content information. I'm going to do a part 2 to this, because there's a lot going on, especially surrounding this guy, Dario Amodei. The government want what he's doing very badly. So that being said, again, like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe to the Art of Political Discourse. Your viewership and participation is greatly appreciated. Take care of yourselves and each other.
You can murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter.